Where's this, Michael? Scotland or Ireland?
That is in Italy.
Italy, okay.
Basically ready whenever you are.
Yeah, give me 30 seconds here. Should have done a little more
No rush,
attentive. Well. All right, you guys ready? You all join me in perfect meeting. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'm gonna call this meeting to order. First thing on the docket is meeting minutes from April 6th.
I'll make a motion, we accept them as recorded.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor? All those opposed? Perfect.
And Mr. Lewis. Dan wasn't here and Natalie is saying,
So I'm abstaining.
Yeah. Perfect.
I meant to raise my hand, but I didn't.
You fought for it.
Well, I mean, it just all went kind of fast. I was thinking about it.
You're in favor though?
Yeah, I'm in favor.
Raise it now.
Thanks.
So we're going right into old business.
Question before you do we have to do anything officially, or did her swearing in take care of anything that she needs to do?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, perfect, just making sure.
You're coming in the middle of an application, but, we can kind of talk about. You're welcome to comment and listen. When it comes to voting, we'll just discuss it, yeah.
Didn't make it long enough.
Yeah, until you get caught up, but, so.
So we haven't got any other things trailing along, so the next one's, you're in all the way.
Yeah.
So we're going right to 671 Main Street,
The public hearing.
public hearing,
Being continued, yeah.
we're being continued, if there's anybody from. Here's anybody from, maybe we haven't closed the public hearing.
Yeah, if you want to, I guess you can, yeah, I don't see any problem with that,
You
you don't wanna close the.
close the public hearing.
So, no, yeah, I just wanted just a quick update, we had a site visit, on Tuesday? And went out to the site, obviously took a look in, I haven't gotten the minutes for that together yet, but thoughts, comments, anything that you wanna share with what you all saw, thought?
I was really surprised at the lack of buffer strip along the stream and the complete denuding of all vegetation along the stream and no provision for any type of road crossing. I mean, right there,
For the stream.
where obviously trucks have been going back and forth in the stream. I also, yeah, that was pretty startling. I also had concerns about, where they want to place the entrance on Main Street, Upper Main Street. I felt, even though, I mean, maybe they could get a DOT permit, but I just felt like just watching the traffic come down there at 40 miles an hour, 45,
Yeah,
45 miles an hour. I didn't think that it's kind of like a blind hill. And I was concerned about, the safety of that. And it just might be another dangerous intersection that we're creating.
It doesn't meet criteria.
Well, we have a prerogative as a
Right.
planning board to say that we feel it's unsafe. I mean, I'd be curious to know what the standards are from the DOT. I mean, do they really think that that's a safe sightline?
Well, I think DOT did issue
Yeah, we have a
driveway
permit
permit,
for
right?
The driveway permit?
Yeah,
So they
and
did
their
issue that.
site distance, I believe, is a little bit more stringent than the town's. I think it's a little bit higher, longer distance. But whenever we do a permit with them, they go out and they field check, verify it for themselves.
I mean, I feel like it's kind of. Well, I guess it is a driveway, but you know, you're planning on like 100 cars. In and out in very restricted periods of time. It's gonna be quite a bit of traffic dumping into that spot.
Yeah, potentially. You know, I think that, one of the things that we talked about a little bit was trying to get the driveway to line up with,
Belvedere.
Belvedere Road.
Is that a good thing?
For engineering wise, that's the safest is to have all your intersections aligned, because otherwise you'd have someone come out of Belvedere, say the intersection's here, you'd have someone come out here, then they turn. And you start a queuing problem here, whereas they could cut across. And to have your intersections aligned rather than have one right next to it, it's DOT prefers it aligned, and you know, for a safety standard, you know, rather than having a bunch of intersections kind of lined up, you wanna have it one full kind of intersection. But it is safer to have your intersections aligned across rather than have a queuing problem and then, other, you know, you wouldn't want people backed up on Main Street when they could cut across.
Like School Street, the School Street, Main Street intersection,
Well-
that's aligned, right?
Well,
No,
kind of.
not really.
Yeah, it's off a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, ideally, you know, you meet things at 90-degree angles, but we live in the,
Close as possible.
you know, and I know also you get getting very close to the property line.
Yeah.
Which, so it's kind of like. Now, that doesn't mean if the board reviews this against the standards and says, you know, something doesn't meet the standard, then doesn't meet the standard, whatever the intentions are, but. You know, that's something that
is
we
it
can talk
possible
about.
to look into lowering the speed limit? People do come over that hill really fast.
Yeah, just while we were standing there, I was surprised at how quickly people were coming over the hill. And, you know, just like a few seconds to hit the driveway entrance.
Mm.
So maybe if they can reduce the speed limit to 35 miles an hour or something.
So that would involve the whole conversation with DOT. I don't think that's something that the applicant was gonna be able to do. Well, we've already got the PPI program going on, or, you know, project moving forward, so that's definitely a conversation we'll have. I guess it's, the what the board should consider is kind of like at least generally as presented. If there's something that's a little bit off, we say, oh, can we talk about something, maybe something can be adjusted, but it's like as the application is presented. Basically doesn't meet the standards, so that's something that,
So what is the standard for sightline? I'm just curious. You must have that in your.
Their,
I think it's around 350.
their applications is 360.
Yeah, I think the standard is 350 or
And
325.
so,
40
and
miles an hour is
Okay.
360.
It's yeah,
Yeah.
so it's more than, it's 45, I think, right?
Well, it's 40
And-
going, it's 40 coming, from one direction, 45 from the other. 45, I believe, is coming south, and then 40 coming from town. It kind of changes right around there, so, see, I have it written down right here, so.
I think northbound traffic is 40 miles an hour, basically right until the site is where
It's pretty, yeah.
it's where the sign
right
is,
around
and then it's
there.
45 coming south. And then it goes down to 40, but just past Belvedere.
So
So
it's,
for the site-
it's 45 going over the hill.
Yeah, I know the site distance we had in there, we had for 40, for the area where it's 40 miles an hour, the minimum site distance is 360. We measured 583 from 45 miles an hour, the site distance is 425, and we measured 492. And then DOT went out and verified those, we submitted it to them.
So it's within.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
coming down from town, it's significantly more than what's required. About 200 feet of sight distance more.
Well, but it's 45 coming down from town, right?
It's when you're leaving town, you're on approach, it's 40. When it gets here, you go to 40, so you would need whatever the standard would be for 40 miles an hour.
Well,
It's still above what was required for 45.
yeah,
so.
I mean, it's, we'll just create an unsafe area, so, right?
No, I
I mean,
mean.
it's a driveway, in theory, I guess if you're gonna put a big development in there, we can reassess it.
Yeah, because this would just be for the driveway.
Yeah.
For the parking.
Yeah.
And just because it meets the site distance, I mean, there's other standards, we can read through them all. If you think it's unsafe, I imagine there's something in here that it can be addressed, but I guess if they meet the site distances, then it's not gonna be because of site distances.
But did you guys really, what did you all think? I mean, did you think it was safe? Did you see
Well,
how?
I just used to go to the hairdressers next door and it was always tricky getting out because people would come so fast down the hill.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah,
and if you have 100, let's say you have 30 cars within an hour pulling in there, or 50 within an hour. 4 times a day. That's an issue, but. I mean, I guess it meets state standards.
well, yeah, and that's why we have, a separate ordinances. Sometimes there's towns have different standards and consideration they want to do beyond what DOT is looking at, so.
And they can always put in a yellow light or something, another stoplight.
DOT, yeah, I mean, DOT wants to do basically whatever DOT wants to do.
Traffic circle.
Yeah, they can do that, so.
Just like how.
But. I was, indeed, from driving by, it looked like every scrap of organic matter had been scraped off that piece of land, and indeed, every piece of organic matter has been scraped off that land. And it turns out, I guess I'm a little confused as to who reviews this type of project. Because it's a forestry notification to the Maine Forest Service. There's not a permit, it's just a notification.
So when a property is in tree growth, they have to have a forest management plan. And then they have to notify when they harvest those plants.
Right,
So there's a plan that's filed for it, which is what they were harvesting under. So every time they harvest under that plan, they have to notify.
And this was a liquidation, and a liquidation can be part of a forestry plan. Or you can make it part of a forestry plan to liquidate. But it's not like, I don't want people to think that there was any kind of state review of this. In terms of how it affected the wetlands or the vernal pools or anything like that. Cause it wasn't.
And when I had a meeting, and I can go into it, when I met with DEP on that Monday afternoon, I showed them an aerial of the site and showed them what everything was going on out there, and they had said because it was under forestry management and the notification that they didn't have any issues with that.
Yeah. I mean, that it doesn't fall under NERPA, like.
No, there's with forestry, there is a lot lax regulations on it. You could
Even if you're liquidate, like the forest notification said that it was being cleared for a residential development, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so the purpose is for a residential development. It wasn't, to grow trees or do anything.
It was, yeah, it was under the forest, it was under the timber tax law.
I just can't believe that this is like a huge loophole. I don't believe it. I
Well, and I don't know, I just know that with timber harvesting outside, especially outside of shoreline. It's basically state deals with it.
Yeah, and I showed DEP, followed with you after the meeting, and copied DEP.
Yeah.
Project manager, just so if I misspoke on anything, he clarified, and he hasn't said, and I've been in contact with them for resubmitting the PBR. So we're resubmitting the PBR exactly how we had it. There was a new rule change that happened in early January, which I don't think all the staff was up on, because what it was is how it used to be with anything that was a moderate to high water wildlife habitat. Any wetlands that was associated with it, no matter how far, was considered a wetland of special significance. January 5th, they changed that to a 750-foot radius from the wildlife, and where we're doing the crossings is beyond 750 feet. So it is a regular NERPA PBR.
But on your maps, you just have 250, are you talking about the wetland of special significance?
No,
in the
it's
back?
it's the tan here is, so
Isn't that 250 feet?
vernal pools have a 250-foot buffer. Emergent wetlands and open water have a 250-foot setback. This tan area here is wildlife habitat, and that has a 750-foot buffer on top of it, which comes right around there. Outside of that, it used to be anything connected until January 5th. Now it's a 750-foot radius, and anything outside is just a regular wetland impact. Anything within that is a wetland of special significance. This crossing here and the permanent wetland impacts here are outside of 750. So the PBR rate submitted for those was correct. So I'm gonna be resubmitting the same thing. I could coordinate with DEP with resend notifications, but other than that, it's the same permit that was submitted in February. I also, after we talked, I do have that aerial figure that we talked about. So this has the parking lot overlaid on it. This orange line here is the shoreland, and that's that habitat. So that the clearing hugs it right where it's supposed to from the forest management. This is a wetland area. The wetlands area, if you can come in here, it's hard to get the colors to line up. I can bring closer.
But those wetland areas have all been cleared, right?
They have been cut, yeah.
So they've been totally cleared of all vegetation. So how is that protecting the wetland or doing any? I mean, aren't there like little buffers or something? I mean, according to the Maine Wetlands, like the Natural Resource Protection Act, you have a 25-foot buffer between streams, brooks, or river, at least a 25-foot buffer.
Well, I don't know all the details. You're talking about for like DEP state standards.
Yeah,
That's for, construction permits. They're different standards for any harvesting. And they can review.
well, this is a construction permit for
So, and then there's like a number of layers to this. I think the first one is the forestry or the timber harvesting, which we said the state has fairly generous standards when it comes to timber harvesting, because that's just what they are.
And you can harvest over vernal pools with the state standards.
So have you talked to the district forester?
I have not talked to district forester yet. So.
What would you ask him if we did?
Just to confirm that everything was done according to, whatever standards they had, that they were met.
So you don't even have to put up like silt fencing along a stream, which you guys didn't do.
So
You're supposed to have some silt fence if you grow. So DEP standards are, if stumps are still on the ground, they don't consider it land disturbance. There was an area that was grubbed that should have been stabilized. There's silt fence out there, it's gonna go up, and there's silt fence on the one side, but in terms of ground disturbance, if you go in there and you cut every tree, but every stump's in the ground, they don't just consider the ground disturbed.
So that's where it's like the timber harvesting is one review, and then there's another review that if you're ground disturbance, if you're doing grubbing, taking the trees out, that's a different thing. That then doesn't fall under the timber harvesting.
That falls under what we're submitting. What we've submitted and we're gonna resubmit to the state is anything under an acre has a stormwater general permit, so they know what disturbance is happening. Anything under 4,300 square feet of permanent wetland fills does not require a permit from the state, and then a stream crossing requires a permit by rule, which is what we've submitted, and we're gonna resubmit the same thing to the DEP. And I showed them where the grubbing happened, which was largely this area. And they said, since that's gonna be, it's covered under that, what we're submitting for, it's gonna be, they didn't have any issues. I showed them this aerial with the clearing. I said it was cleared under forest. I showed them the areas where it's grubbed, the biologist from DEP and the project manager. Very open with everyone what's happened out there. And they said if it was under forest management, timber harvesting, what they cut was fine.
Who did you talk to?
His name is Josh, I read his last name, and Cameron, who was on the original email. You can look it up right now.
Yeah, I've spoken with Joshua Evansmeyer.
Yeah, that sounds right.
It's something like that. And it's the same thing with them. Again, it's now it's another entity that just asking to confirm that this is all, that what has happened, what they're doing is meets whatever DEP standards are. And then what we're talking about now is, what the board is talking about is, what are the town's standards that exist now? One thing I'll update you, because I think this was today maybe, was code enforcement did issue a violation for, I think a lot of it surrounds like the erosion control, and probably like the grubbing.
Yeah, I got photocopied. It was for the grubbing and the open soil.
Right.
So strictly this area, and then there's some clearing up here over the trees that are up there that were cut, but.
Okay. And as far as I can tell, some of it is that work was done before there was a permit from the town that would have been needed. And then some of it is that there's a lack of appropriate erosion control measures, which I won't pretend to be an expert in. And so it's in this kind of weird
The
thing
erosion
of,
control method, that's under code enforcement.
yeah, well, right, it's town and here, here's a
It's not planned.
letter for them.
We have.
We don't.
On our
well,
plan.
police stuff.
Well,
No,
We have shown what the erosion control should be on the plan with the double barrier.
and I think, and so, yeah, so just to be clear, the erosion control, so we sent the board sent this to what?
And
Knox Lincoln
yeah.
Soil Water Conservation District to review the erosion control measures for during construction and after construction. And so that leaves this kind of in between area of before construction, what should have been done. A lot of this, I think that my understanding of it is, if nothing had happened until the board issued or the town issued a permit, then and followed the erosion control plan that I think is being put together or submitted or.
Yeah, we have it on this, so we have the double layer mulch firm, there's a silt fence that's gonna be down there.
Yeah.
It's all on the design plans.
And so just a lot of, so I think some of it is just that it hasn't happened yet. Which is, it shouldn't have happened yet because no permit's been issued, but also because work started and this has gone beyond the timber harvesting, then erosion control measures should have been in place. So that's where there's this problem.
I spoke with, that's code enforcement.
Yeah, I mean, yes, they're the ones that enforce it. But I think that part of the issue is that there's not a, PBR hasn't been issued and the town, no permits have been issued.
Yeah.
So now, so that's essentially what this is. And so I had mentioned that because you all should be aware of whatever's going on. But you're right, it's not as though you all are expected to go out there and say,
No.
there's no erosion control,
Right.
so.
I kind of feel like this isn't just about this, little parking lot for 100 cars. That's just been, this is like a little piece. This is like a big, let's just say this whole project is to create this little parking lot. Like, the place was cleared, a lot of land, you know. We are responsible for the whole parcel, because the whole parcel was altered in order to put this parking lot on it. I mean, they might have other purposes or whatever, but all we can see in front of us is that was to create this amazing parking lot. So I feel like we do have jurisdiction over what else is going on, like the stream crossing, the erosion control measures and stuff like
Stream
that.
crossing, we do have something to say about.
Yeah,
I agree with you. The erosion control is supposed to be better. Construction practices, and it's supposed to be followed. People are supposed to be licensed in that,
well,
so,
the soil
that
and water
should have been
conservation
done.
district guy wasn't,
you know, in the fact that it was cut. There was cut under 403 practices, which is not anything that we've got anything to do with. Right now, our project is the parking lot
okay.
and its access, and not the vernal pools and the setbacks, which were apparently followed.
Everything cut back there was what,
So,
stand for force, man.
yes, I agree that silt fence should have been put in there. But that's once again. What it really boils down to is they jumped the gun on building this. That's what happened. They got started before they should have.
So all it was,
Rubbing that.
it was grubbed, there was
If
no
they had not
rating,
rubbed
it
it,
was grubbed.
there'd be no issue.
Well, they did
They rubbed it.
clear all the vegetation along the stream crossing.
Yeah, but they have the right to do that.
Really?
Yes.
I
They have the
think
right to do
it's, here's what my approach to this is always just like. We can ask and confirm that that's the case, but I don't know that,
To the best of my knowledge, they have the right to do that.
They had the right during the harvest permit to get across, and they crossed an area that wasn't a stream, they crossed
yeah.
the wetland in between to get back to the.
Well,
back to
they cleared all the vegetation along the stream.
They cut the trees, yep, and I believe that was noted, that was in the permit, it checked of where they're cutting,
So we gotta get
Okay, so,
off of that
okay,
and
so
onto the parking lot.
let's talk about the parking lot.
Let's talk about
So that little finger coming up
Yeah.
off the parking lot, is that the erosion control
it.
stuff or?
Well, the erosion control goes around it, the double layer, and then this is the gravel wetland, which is going to.
Gravel wetland.
Yeah, so all the storm water is gonna run off into the swale and into the gravel wetland. And that's a main BMP, standard BMP.
Well, it's a pretty heavy-handed, like old-fashioned way of doing business, you know, like we have, as a planning board, tried to discourage developments from putting in these big detention ponds.
Well, it's different than detention pond. It stimulates a wetland ecology in there. So a wet pond would be a 10-foot hole in the ground, big. This is 2 treatment cells with a gravel layer and then wetland material on top, and it's always wet, so it is a wetland. It's not a giant pond, it's a wetland area, so it's one of the more common ones that we do across the state. Those are under drained soil filters, but this stimulates a natural ecology of a wetland out there. It's not just a big pond. It's big, but it's not just a big hole in the ground.
How deep is it?
Well, they can only be 18 inches deep, the depressions. They're regulated that because you have to keep a certain overflow, and you have to keep the water so that it can stimulate the ecology of the wetlands. So the surface area is, I don't remember the exact area, but I think it's like 700 square feet of cell, so it's about 1,500 square feet, the total thing. And then these 2 cells here will be wetland. They're gonna be a wetland. it's a best management practice, but that's filters it out and then that can be maintained and restored as we had in the management plan. I did speak with Chris Baldwin and he didn't really have any comments. He said that everything meets the standards. I believe he sent you a draft.
He did, yeah, he sent me a draft and I haven't provided the board, I just got it and read it before the meeting. But what I wanted to ask with this design now was in response to the Soil and Water Conservation's original review. Correct. So this is, and I can tell you like the summary here, Soil and Water Conservation provided some recommended conditions of approval. And important considerations and or waiver requests. But essentially, and there's more to it. So this is a kind of cherry pick, but it says, based on the review with the recommended revisions, the plans meet applicable town, state, district standards for stormwater management and erosion and sediment control. So, like I said, there's conditions and there's some other recommendations in here, but this was, this plan was in response to the Soil and Water Conservation District's original review. And I guess, and then this was reviewed against, I assume this is what they.
Yes, it was.
This is what they.
The exact same things.
So it's bigger, it's a bigger. Solution, this stormwater management.
It's a structural BMP instead of a forested buffer. Yeah,
Well, there's no forest around it.
correct.
And my understanding was like that was basically the thing that Soil and Water Conservation flagged was there was no vegetation
Can't
around
have a
there.
forested buffer without forest.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah, we
Okay,
covered them about revegetation plans out there and then, this was the best solution to really do it and just make sure that it's gonna treat it right away.
Are they planning to seed or do anything over that place?
So right now, the area that's not been grubbed is gonna kind of revegetate naturally with brush. And that'll probably happen pretty fast, I'd imagine. And then anything else that's disturbed is gonna be seeded. Yeah. And then we did include a copy of the entrance permit in the plans. I also had from Maine Health. Their hours were 6 AM to 6 PM, so the lights would be cut off after that. Those would be the hours of the lights we would propose.
Good. Like that.
I said most of their traffic is from 6:45 to 8 AM and then 3:30 to 5:15 from the shuttles. That's the biggest that they see. But
anything else that you all wanna talk about, look at right now? Specific, or I can go through the findings and we can
Well, don't you?
make sure there's nothing else.
I just,
But
if I can ask a question, and I am looking at the original plan. I'm looking at the ones submitted on February 13th. And so I'm in, where am I? I'm looking at the compliance with, the section. And it talks about, like the buffer areas. And that does talk about natural vegetation on site so will be restored and further screen the parking area. Is that no longer intended?
it's gonna be naturally revegetated and restored, and then there's gonna be.
So it's gonna be just allowed to do whatever.
Are fire screening?
Sorry.
Like parking areas?
there is some, I think this is one area where like the ordinance assumes that there's just natural vegetation kind of around the perimeter of the site, and this is obviously there's not. I'm just looking to see.
Guess they could put up
Buffer
a fence or
areas.
something.
There's the part about natural beauty.
There's no natural beauty.
I know, but it does say that it won't impact the natural beauty of the area.
So, and
I'm just,
I think.
Yeah, I know.
So with the buffer yards, we did talk about, I think it was the first meeting,
Yeah,
and I believe you did adjust.
yeah, this
You
is
shifted that
closer,
up.
this is more than 30 feet now.
It was, yeah, 'cause this was 15, I mean, so distance wise, it was 15 feet, now it's 30. Um. Let me see, we can go through buffer areas, buffer yards.
And it is a little bit lower than the road and. But a large chunk of it is gonna be behind that where the existing home is, and that'll fairly screen it from the road as well.
Um. Roadside buffer in C2 district, except as described in section 11 TC. Vegetated buffer 15 feet deep. Or 20% of the lot, whichever is less. Measured from the edge of the lot line abutted in the right of way should be provided along all public roads in C2. For commercial developments, I don't know if it's commercial. And for the redevelopment of existing commercial properties. So. It says parking should be prohibited there, but this is well beyond 50 feet. Screening within the required buffer strips in the form of natural or man-made barriers. Existing vegetation or new planting should be based on a 20-year plan and take into account the impact of changing climate.
I mean, is any planting going to be required? I mean, because, I mean, or are you just thinking this is a temporary structure, this parking lot?
Right now, it's gonna be a permanent structure. There are talks about potentially doing something in the future, but those plans are still in, up in the air in the works, but as of right now, this is. Gonna be there for the foreseeable future.
So maybe there needs to be some planting, some vegetation plan.
Possibly, I
plan.
guess, so one thing is. Basically, if the planning board of the town permits it, but it's not really, we don't really have temporary structures, so it may be that, this is the
No, we
intention.
have to assume that it's.
But yeah, 'cause once it's there, it's basically allowed to stay. I guess what if you. Planning board can't really say you have to do or not do something. What the planning board can say is. If this, basically this, either it does or doesn't meet the ordinance, so if you were to say, this doesn't meet that standard for the vegetation standards or screening standards. Then the applicant may say, you know what, can we put a pin in it and can we work on this and come back and try and provide something that does meet the standards. That you can kind of do, but you can't really say like you have to do X or Y, otherwise we're not gonna approve it.
Well, it says, I mean, it says under buffer areas that, the natural vegetation on the site will be restored. And further screen the parking area. So natural vegetation will be restored.
Yeah, so.
So what does that mean?
The intent was to have it revegetate naturally.
Well, yeah, you'll have a bunch of briar bushes, we know what,
But he's not weed.
we know what it looks like, and actually. You go around here at places that have been clear cut, it can be years before anything comes back. I mean, it doesn't like instantly grow up into a pine forest. And you're talking 10, you can be 10 years, like even down in Bristol, where they did all that clear cutting on Hunter's Hill. I mean, that's still pretty bare. Because it's different if they had left any biomass at all. Or like, a lot of times when you do forestry projects, you leave like a tree that provides seeds. I mean, there's nothing left. This place has been denuded.
That's, I'm just trying to see.
I mean, I think,
And vegetation replaced to ensure continuous year-round screening. Yeah, I guess so. Is the vegetation proposed to be replaced to provide that screening? Nothing besides what naturally is, that would naturally come in, right?
Correct, yeah,
So
we have right now.
the question for the planning board is like, does that meet the standard?
I don't think it meets the standard.
So that's the conversation that like,
Okay,
That's the decision that you all have to,
When you say the standards for what, for the parking lot project or for this entire piece of
the
land?
parking lot project.
Okay.
I mean, I guess I thought they could. I guess anybody can just completely cut your piece of land and then come in with a project. And then you don't have to meet any standards because you've already taken away all the vegetation. I mean, that doesn't, Makes
which I
sense.
think is what ordinance is trying to get to some of that with the, you know, to be, the vegetation being maintained and or replaced
Yeah.
is. Again, this is where it gets hard to say, like. The ordinance can't really tell you, like, you have to do this,
yes.
but what you can say is,
2 inch, it's not gonna be, but I'm just saying that this is kind of an unusual situation. We haven't
Sure.
really come across one of these
Yeah.
situations,
but I
at least
can,
while I've been here.
right,
And I think that we'll just let whatever comes back, if it comes back, come back, is just pretty not adequate.
what doesn't meet the
Doesn't meet
standards,
our
what you're
standards.
suggest, yeah.
Yeah. We're requiring some vegetation, some kind of visual screen, something.
Are you referring to visual screening of the parking
Well,
lot?
not, it doesn't have, well, remember the Miles parking lot on Bristol Road that was supposed to be screened?
Mhm.
By the way, those trees are all dying,
We'll have to
but,
look and, yeah,
we often want some little bit of break. It doesn't have to be completely screened from, to prevent any visual access at all. But usually there's something between the roadway and the project. Right?
Anybody else
Usually
wanna,
require that?
anybody else wanna add
How
to
about
that?
Neil,
And I
any
know-
thoughts on this?
I know this area through here, I know Negative Stream was wooded, but this was all lawn too, through here. I know closer here, there were some more trees, but the tree line was more on this side and closer. This is pretty much lawn back through here from what I looked for through
Right.
both areas. So it'd really be, this area would have had some trees cut, and I don't know how thick it was to begin with, I don't think it was super thick through here, but I don't know,
It wasn't super thick.
no. Cause I know it had been forested in the past, I don't know to what extent, but it was under the forest management.
Right.
And I know that the time was coming up last year when needed to be forested again. It was forested and then it was taken out of forest management, but, yeah, it was pretty sparse through here, I believe, historically.
Mhm.
They have to buffer it from the house though, right? The parking lot?
even with like vegetation,
Yeah.
I don't think anything
Right.
proposed currently, is there?
Nothing proposed currently, no.
It's the same landowner.
It said
Even if
they-
it was different landowners would have
Yeah, it's the same landowner.
Yeah. If it was
Exactly
different
what it is.
landowners would require it,
Okay.
it's the same landowner.
And I know when I drive by, I mean, you can't, I mean, this is like. If you have to be like right here to looking back to really see with the house when I'm driving by, you can't really see too far back in this way. At least from up through here, cause you're coming up the hill, there's still a stand of trees in the front here. So it is kind of hard, and it's down too as well, so it is hard to see from the road, there is a section where, I mean, where you see, but that's where the entrance drive is proposed, so you can see. There, almost regardless, but to an extent. With the structures on site.
Any other thoughts on this, or not to rush anybody?
Like with the screening fall under buffer? Is that what you're
Um,
finding that?
Yeah, I think least what I'm seeing is there's the preserve and enhance the landscape, which is under. 102.6 performance standards is the first one, it's A. So it does mention a little bit, all buffer yards be preserved in their natural states and so far as practical and appropriate by minimizing tree removal. Any grade changes shall be keeping with general appearance of neighborhood neighboring developed areas. And then there's another section that basically is just. Erosion control. I mean, there's a section on natural beauty. Would say squishier sections. And then there's buffer areas. Talk about buffer yards and screening. And it's basically 2 pages, so I'm happy to read the whole thing, but I don't think you wanna listen to me read the whole thing. So. Route 1 bypass, buffer, vegetated buffer, 100 feet deep or 20% of the depth of the lot, whichever is less. The lot line abutting the Route 1 bypass right of way shall be provided along Route 1 bypass. All new developments, including single family and duplex residences. I'm not entirely sure if Route 1 bypass is Route 1 or Route 1B.
It's Route 1.
That's Route 1. Okay. And that's why I probably not put one on the roadside buffer, which a couple minutes ago, which is C2 district. It's 50, it's basically the same thing, 50 feet or 20%, whichever is less. The edge of the lot line abutting the right of way should be provided, so. That we talked about, and then there's some screening standards with. Do you want to put a pin in that and we can come back to it? Do you want to keep discussing whatever you all want to do is?
I think we can move on for now.
Yeah, it's not like you can, doesn't come, you can talk about it again if you'd like to, and, okay. Let's see, so, would you like to just go through the findings of fact and see if there's anything that's still.
I would go ahead and do that.
Okay, so there's one of the requirements, we talked about this, the demonstration of the project will comply with applicable noise and air quality standards. Not really a submission standard, so if that's an issue, if you want more information about potential noise and air quality impacts, ask for it. And then there's a scenic assessment and landscaping plan for the site consistent. This is again another submission standard. A scenic assessment and landscaping plan for the site consistent with the recommendations of the Kamouraska comprehensive plan. I don't think that's anything we've required in the past, but again, this is, every project's different, so I don't know if that's something that the board would like. I don't think that's something that you provided. Scenic assessment, I don't think so.
Where are you reading from?
This was,
Your memo?
page 2, yeah,
Okay.
the draft findings of fact.
Yeah.
Those are the submission requirements, which. I think everything else was fine, I said. And there's no easements, covenants, deed restrictions on the site currently, right?
Not that affect the project, but.
Is the CMP easement on the other property?
It's on the other property, yeah, you can kind of see it right
Oh,
here,
yeah, okay.
yeah.
Right.
It cuts pretty close near where we were standing on that knoll.
Mhm.
It's real close.
Yeah, we could see the opening back there.
Um. Okay. So. There's no buildings that are proposed. So let's just go through the performance standards for water. For the site plan review ordinance. Performance standards, preserve and enhance the landscape. Preserve and enhance the landscape requirements. Anything you want to discuss on that section at the moment? I don't think I had any comments. Relationship to the environment and neighboring buildings. The only comment I had was about a 30-foot minimum buffer strip. Well, with undisturbed natural vegetation. There is a 30-foot buffer strip now and
No vegetation.
no vegetation. Air quality. I think we discussed that. I recall there were no concerns about air quality from the parking lot. Lighting and glare. It's the 6 lights, correct?
Yes,
6 lights.
And they'll be turned off
after 6.
after
But
six.
yeah.
That's great. Good.
So what, there'll be,
Hours from between 6. and-
yeah, so they.
Are they tall lights? Are they?
No, they're,
It
wasn't big.
they're, whatever the standard, I think it's 16 feet.
Yeah.
Oh, so
standard.
they're 16 foot.
Yeah, and the only thing, we did request the waiver last time, because there's a couple near, right where they are. They're at 1.7, but there's nothing off the property line. Just the height of those kind of makes it hard to get it out, so sometimes it's a little closer, but the max is 1.7 near it. It's only a couple little spots, but.
Yes, I do. We did look at that, and I think that was consistent with waivers that the board's granted before.
Missing an F and of.
Are you watching me type right now?
Yep.
Is it okay that the drive is right
Turned
on
off instead of of.
Thank you.
the property line?
Sorry?
Is it okay that the drive is right on the property line?
Let's
I know.
see, yeah, we can,
I mean, I thought there would have to be some
oh,
It's
setback.
about
at least.
15 feet off, this is the setback line there, so maybe.
So it's like 15 feet off?
It's close, yeah, it's maybe a hair under, but it's,
this is, I think, addressed in the buffer yards.
but it's just in the entrance there to get because you have to be straight before you can do a curve. And then it curves as soon as we can to get up, and then everything else is more than 30 off the property line.
Yeah, and, I can't, I'm not seeing it right now, but as we go through the standards, it does come up somewhere and I meant to look and see when I noticed it before. I think it does say that essentially like driveway entrances can go through buffer yards, but I'm sure that is at least meant for the front. I don't know, well, if I can find the actual standard, we can look and you can decide if this meets that standard. Okay. So lighting and glare, I think the pictures were 18 feet, but I think you reduced that down to 16, is that?
Yeah, there should be 16, and that's what,
Okay.
Are the utilities underground?
yes. Yep, so there'll be a transformer off the pole there and run underground up to the poles.
At the property lines, it's not, doesn't exceed the 0.1 foot candles.
No, I believe it's 0 property line.
So that we confirmed, and then it's just the waiver for there are areas where it exceeds 1.0 foot candles. Okay. Concerns about noise? Nothing? Adequacy of the public road system. Let's see, I've got something in here. It says Maine DOT has traffic counts for the intersection of Belvedere Road, Main Street here from September 2025. Shows a total of 543 trips at 7 AM. 70% of the trips going southwest bound and 30% going northeast.
When the rotary was under construction?
It must have been, or just after it was completed.
Usually they do those traffic counts right before they do a construction like that, so they can size it.
I know, but it was under construction for a long time.
Yeah, I don't live in it, I live in
During
that.
I think it must have been like right when they finished, if not right close to when they were finishing. But so if anything, has a higher number of trips. I'm just seeing what this says in here. Same general distribution trips is proposed. I think, this is probably you had written.
Yeah, the second part of the list, we assumed we'd have the same general distribution with 70 of the 100 coming southwest and 30 coming from the northeast. Or traveling, 70% of it traveling southwest, and 30 traveling northeast, so.
But it's all within a very restricted period of time. You know, when people are coming.
The most common is between 6:45 and 8, and then 3:30 and 5:15, but people will trickle in at other points of the day, but the majority of it will come in with that.
So theoretically, this would be reducing the amount of, I mean, I work at Great Salt Bay School, so this would be reducing the amount of cars that are coming past school at that time
Yeah.
of day. Theoretically, because
there's a lot
these
of
people
parking.
are already
Yeah.
working at,
Some I think,
is the
Yeah.
idea, right?
I think yes, and
Because some are fighting for spaces down at the campus and some are probably going to another satellite one, so it's gonna be kind of like a mix, it's not gonna be like a wholesale 7, you're gonna be less there, but,
Right, but it's not gonna be I guess. Ideally, people who are coming from Bristol are not going to be driving past miles to that parking lot.
yeah,
And-
we'll go the one
We
here.
would hope,
Potentially.
although that's,
that's
that's out of our
expecting a lot
purview,
of
but,
coordination and logic from
right,
people, but I know some people are already going and parking. They're doing satellite parking at
Across the road there at the.
Yeah.
Church.
The church.
church, so
Yeah.
some of that's already happening.
Mhm.
Thoughts, comments? Okay. Fine. Access to the site, does the level of traffic volume necessitate separate turning lanes? I'm not sure if we talked about
I
that.
thought we talked about it last time and it didn't.
No,
No.
yeah, that's okay. So. That's good. And will this level of traffic volume cause queuing of entering vehicles? I think, no, I think especially with this length of driveway.
Yeah. Shouldn't.
Thoughts? No, okay. Guys, there's that. Parking circulation. We do-
There might be some queuing. I mean, that's why it worries me, it being directly across from the Belvedere Road. I just think that it'd be a lot safer, much for, down a ways,
I,
When you go down here, this hill, the site distance is actually less down this way.
cause it drops off.
It drops off there steeper, and then it best engineering practice is to put as close to an intersection aligned as possible.
I know I keep saying
I know, I don't know what else to say other than that's the safest from best engineering practice. That's what all of our traffic engineers do.
that.
Would DOT reviewed it, that they liked it there.
I think that, like School Street, you mentioned, kind of is aligned, but it's just off and it kind of, that's what, the more aligned it can be, I think, I'm not a traffic engineer, but the more aligned that they can be, the better.
Yeah.
Because then people treat it like a four-way intersection, or at least a two-way stop,
Right.
four-way intersection, so. You know, this is not gonna be quite aligned,
It's pretty close.
It's close.
The ground lanes are very close.
Yeah.
I'd say it's like 95% aligned.
so, but. So parking and circulation, thoughts, comments,
The circulation within it. Spot.
yeah, just on site, I guess.
Pretty
is,
difficult.
Um.
Don't we require, vegetation like islands in parking lots and stuff?
Yes, and I imagine we will,
We have the vegetated islands here
oh, yeah.
with the light poles, and then these ones have the trees. And then these ones are all the minimum of that 360 standard, and then these ones are open, so.
So what kind of trees do they have, or?
We are proposing, had it in the last one, some dogwood trees are similar style, because they're 20 feet tall. We don't want anything too large, because then the root systems will go underneath the parking and heave that, so. More of a 20-foot or lower decorative tree, we had proposed like a dogwood.
Okay. Off-street parking lot placement. And there's no pedestrian pathways, is that correct?
Correct. There is a spot here for the shuttle, people wait to get the shuttle, but no pathways, the standard parking lot.
Okay. Parking lot layout, I think we talked about snow storage before, but I imagine.
Yeah, it's gonna be primarily put into the ditch, because then it can drain and get filtered any sediment in it, and then every spring you're supposed to go in and inspect and clear up the 4 bays, so that'll keep anything contained in the area.
Okay. So and then here's the, each 40 space or fraction thereof parking area shall have landscape to accommodate parking and stormwater management. So the questions that I put in here, vegetated islands, swales and or tree box filter have been incorporated into the proposed design, or the parking areas landscaped with curb medians and minimum curb to curb width of 10 feet. Is each required landscape island 360 feet, which I think you just mentioned the 360.
Yeah. And it's gravel, so we're not proposing any curbing. Plus we're trying to get the water to sheet flow naturally into different spots and not channelize, as much as possible before it gets to the channel, the swale.
Okay. Pedestrian circulation. We want to talk about that, or any thoughts, concerns there?
There's not really a lot of pedestrian circulation. There's no stores, no business, no buildings, no nothing.
That basically what it calls for is a system of pedestrian ways appropriate for the type and scale of development. So assuming that this meets that, then. What might be the impact to the, existing public utilities and services, it's not connected to the sewer or water networks.
Just.
Electricity, yeah, and, okay. Water quality, any concern about the water runoff, I know, I read to you before at least like the last couple lines of the Soil and Water Conservation District letter, which they seemed okay with. I assume
I read it.
if you're gonna put salt down, that's not a problem for the.
No, that can be filtered out. Yeah, well, that would collect and get out, so that it's fine. But they're supposed to inspect those every year and keep it up to date.
Okay. Okay, stormwater.
Who inspects them? Is that?
The applicant would be responsible for that.
Okay, so the applicant will maintain
Yeah.
the system.
And are they supposed to do reporting for that? Is that the proposal?
They don't have to, but if they do a stormwater permit, but I'm sure they'd be able to go out code and just let them know it's been inspected. I don't think that'd be a big deal. Cause we have housekeeping standards in our stormwater permit, so they just fill out a form and they could submit to the town that want to be a condition.
I mean, up to the board if you will tell me what you do and don't want.
So we provide the standard forms for them to inspect and maintain, and then they can document and. Just a one-page form that shows that if they did anything, they have to document that, but.
So could that be a condition of approval that
You get it inspected.
it gets inspected once a year, that they provide a form, the housekeeping form to a code
That's
enforcement
once a
officer?
year. Maybe with 35 years,
But
something like
does-
that.
They have to be recertified every 5 years when it's DEP, but
They have to be recertified every 5 years by DEP.
by DEP, they have to be recertified, but they're supposed to go out every kind of spring season, just to make sure everything's not.
Do they inspect these?
DEP?
Yeah.
No, they have, us PEs would be submitting a form recertifying it every 5 years, so we would go out, inspect it and submit a form with our stamps to DEP with pictures and inspection forms.
How about submitting those inspections to the town,
So maybe we would
so
have,
that we know that it's
we
being
would
done?
have the every 5
Just
year
have-
inspection.
You want a copy of
With
the
photo-
5-year?
with
Yeah,
photo-
to the
Well,
town.
This would require with DEP, so it'd be something additional, whatever the town, if the town wants to do a 5-year, cause it's not a stormwater permit, DEP would require it, we don't trigger any stormwater with DEP. We could do the year inspection form, if you guys wanna kind of,
Do that.
you could even say, every 5 years, do a recert to DEP standards to the town. That's just, it's a form and stuff like that, that would work as well, something like that.
I mean, I would think just a copy of the inspection or maintenance log, right, that you include,
Yeah. it's a
yeah,
stormwater report,
you
yeah.
include that here. Um,
That's all.
and it's supposed to happen with, like, it's supposed to happen
You're supposed to.
seasonally and rain events.
Especially for the first year to make sure everything's stabilized, and then there's. In our report, it lays it all out.
Yeah.
Of how often you're supposed to do it, timeframes and. What you're supposed to document, and it's got the form and stuff, so.
So copies of those could just go to Michael.
Yeah. Or code, or whatever.
Or, yeah.
Code enforcement
Right.
officer.
Yeah, is that, so I think what Natalie, you were saying was, basically to require the submission of, the inspection logs. is that what it's
Inspection
called?
logs from the housekeeping, plan.
Whatever,
and
inspection and
stormwater.
maintenance log.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
that, okay, so,
Annual.
Yeah,
inspection.
we're supposed to be on top of the annual.
okay, so annual submission. Or the. Yeah, but what did you call this, the system?
It's a gravel wetland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Are those squares, are they like concrete structures?
Those, no, it's a soil depression. We have a detail here. This is the whole plan for the gravel line that's So. What it is it'll come in through the 4-bay, which is here, there's a berm. And it goes into the first treatment cell. And then that's gonna be just, it's a stone base with a wetland media, DEP has their standard media on top, so it'll mimic a wetland area, then there's another stone berm here. So there's 2 cells that are supposed to be the exact same size. And then the water's supposed to be able to flow past through them in between, there's some under drains. And then it has like an emergency spillway if a heavy rain event overflows. But it's supposed to maintain a minimum of about 18 inches, this is completely saturated through here. and it mimics a wetland soil, and maximum depth they can use 18 inches, so it doesn't kill off the soil. There's a decent amount to them, but they're just depressions about 18 inches deep with soil. And wetland mix material.
So do they grow up with cattails or something, or?
There's, well, as part of the inspection, you're supposed to keep out anything invasive and then make sure the planting mix is a standard, the wetland mix and stuff, so.
So no cattails.
Not if they're
There-
inspected it every year.
There would be some probably starting, but it's gonna be, like
I'm just trying to figure out what kind of vegetation, if it's not like wetland vegetation.
I mean, it
Well,
would
it should be
be
native
wetland,
maybe wetland vegetation, that's what I think.
Grass.
Yeah,
ideally non-invasive.
yeah,
Okay. And is the plan to mow around like all the,
be mowed around, because you have to be able to access them, so there's at least a. 6 foot wide access, you have to get to a structure here where it outlets. So that has to be mowed around it there, keep that clean.
and then inside it grows up
Yeah,
as close to a wetland as we can make?
yeah, and it's a DEP has their own wetland soil design, that's what's specified there for what they like to see on those. So this is exactly how we would submit something to DEP for them to look at, which is what Chris Baldwin looked at to their standards as well. Really, if someone's gonna review it, they're gonna pull up in the DEP BMP manual, and they're gonna make sure it matches that, cause they have all the design regulations for that.
So who builds this? Hager?
Yeah.
So they're building it.
Yes.
So the code enforcement officer will have to make sure that. it's built
Absolutely,
with the
yes.
Standards.
Yeah. And then usually when these are built,
I mean, I don't think, in the past, I don't think we've really inspected many of these at all.
Right.
so what
That's-
usually
that's
happens when you get built on our end, which we could do is. The contractor who's building it will call and say, hey, we're gonna build the gravel wetland, so we go out when they get the depressions built, we document it. And then we go out when they do the under drain pipes and we document it, and
Okay,
then we go out when they put everything in, and it's like 3 or 4, like 3 visits, and we document throughout, and that's how we certify it to DEP.
And but you don't need to certify this to DEP.
We don't, but we could do the same thing here with the CEO if they want to, cause, personally, I live 25 minutes out of the Bath, so I could swing out and inspect it and. Certify it, if that's what you guys want, but they're pretty standard, they're very standard, this is kind of what. Is being constructed the most in the state, I would say, is gravel wetlands, then under drain soil filters. In terms of these lead management, so these are pretty standard nowadays.
Do you want that kind of inspection during construction to happen, or even just certification after? This is constructed, because and I'm sure you're aware that usually once stuff gets approved. We don't issue certificates of occupancy and things like that, so. It does kind of leave this like,
we have to assume that the applicant is going to build it in good faith. You know what I mean? Maybe we should.
and there's plenty of times where the town doesn't, but it's like the default is not an inspection, like if a road gets built. This is something that the ordinance doesn't require that, but. That's something that's been done, the town's done in the past of saying like, we wanna, before once you put the base layer down for a road, we wanna have an engineer come and certify it, or whatever.
I think it would be a good idea to have the engineer certify it. It would save work. It would save our CEO from having to do that, any kind of inspection or whatever.
And have him send us a letter certifying that it was
Yeah.
done.
Do that,
That's,
So
that's
let's
the
put that in.
standard thing we do for projects like this.
yeah, I don't think that's
Yeah.
really burdensome, so.
There needs to be a receipt of notification
Yeah, well,
that,
the certification will be in writing, and I will go to the CEO, and the CEO will have to accept it. I imagine it's coming from an engineer and your license is potentially in the line that you're not gonna wanna. Why?
There's photos and those, we have photos of at the different stages of inspections.
Yeah.
Okay. Where are we? Okay, so, and this does not require the site location
Correct, yeah.
for this.
Yeah. It doesn't trigger the threshold for the stormwater permit, the DEP, just town level.
Now this does require NERPA permit and you're waiting.
We confirmed it's just the PBR, so we just
Yeah.
have to resubmit what we had, for that.
Okay. Okay. Have you resubmitted for that or not yet?
No, they confirmed today that, they're not gonna reopen, they only have just to submit the same thing again, so I have to re-notify. We'll notify tomorrow and then submit, so that's kind of, I was waiting for clarification from Josh for that. So it's gonna be the same thing, we already submitted the same plans here, but, so that's a 20-day once it's submitted.
Okay. That I would recommend making a condition of approval before permit gets issued. That PBR is,
We
Absolutely.
received the permit.
but it doesn't, and whether, look, I won't say it has to be PBR, I assume it's gonna be PBR.
Yeah,
That's what
they
I'm saying.
they confirmed that's what's gonna be from the meeting,
But basically, you need a permit from DEP before.
Yeah.
We'll issue a permit,
It's a PBR because of the area the amount of area that was disturbed is less than an acre.
Yeah, so it's less, so the stormwater general permit is the PBR for stormwater, and that's less than an acre of, impervious. It's up to 5 acres of disturbed area. No, like the stormwater, it's under an acre of impervious, is it stormwater general permit PBR? And then stream crossing PBR. And then the permanent wetland fills is under 4,300, so it doesn't trigger a NERPA tier 1. So the tier 1 go anything under 4,300 or permanent fill is. You don't need a permit for that.
So all the wetlands, little tiny wetlands that were all, filled or cleared. Total under 4,200.
All the permit, anything else is gonna be restored back to what it's supposed to be. So the only permanent we have was like 2,800 square feet of impacts, I think it was. And then everything else has to be restored, and that's what we're saying to DEP, we're gonna have it all back to what it's supposed to be as well, so. They'll be on that as well.
Where?
Well, they had the staging up front, so that's gonna have to be restored. When you saw the pilot trees. There were the pilot trees kind of right here, so that's
Yeah.
gotta be. Back to the original grade and plant through the wetland mix and they'll have to monitor it, make sure it still stays wet and. We'll report that to DEP as
Oh,
well.
because that's a wetland right there at the drive entrance?
Yeah,
I didn't even see that actually.
oh,
See right there?
but yeah.
That's actually over the wetland.
Yes. Yes, I knew that, because there's a culvert in there. In the driveway.
in the drive, there's culvert over here.
Oh, right.
So that drive entrance is just a filled in wetland, right?
Right here, it's just filled in, yeah, so there's gonna be a pocket wetland here, and then the rest will be back through there.
So that 4,200, that doesn't include all the other wetlands that you disturbed.
No,
In the-
it's the 40, or it's 2,800 of the permanent fill, so this is permanent, this will be permanent change. This has to be made sure it goes back to wetland and planted. And that's all part of what we'll be submitting DP and whatever agreed with them. So they'll be well aware of it as well.
Just going through trying to not get any of these notes. Yes, you already did. Soil and water. Conservation review. Water supply, you don't put any spigots or anything in here, right?
No.
Nothing's tied, other than happen, is that, the house probably tied into water, but that's.
The house has a new well up here, I believe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Water goes by, but.
Yeah.
Okay, natural beauty. Okay, natural beauty, fine, historic and archaeological resources. I didn't identify anything for historic or archaeological resources that have been identified
Well,
on
I mean,
site.
that the residence is historic for sure, but
It's old.
Yeah, 1700s.
But that,
Well, it's an accessory structure, isn't it, to the residence? The. I mean, it's not really. Relevant, but.
so the board is satisfied with the information that we've got for the. The board may require application to include in the landscape plan. Preservation of any existing large trees.
What about the landscape plan?
Would you have an actual, like a specific landscape plan? Like, you're certainly proposing any,
No, we
Vegetation,
don't
right?
have like I have the tree shown in a site plan, and there's site shown here.
right,
That would be,
oh, those are.
that would be the only proposed.
I mean, their landscaping plan, I think, is just to allow it to. Grow up however it decides to grow up. Is that a landscaping plan?
That's a question that you have to answer.
What do you think? You guys?
I mean, what would you have them do?
I suppose that is their plan,
That
but
their
is the plan adequate?
They're kind of-
Is the question.
Right.
I did see, so is this, Chris Baldwin is from,
The Knox County, yeah, he
Okay.
just Cumberland County and Knox.
He does
County.
have
He did
okay.
both, yeah.
all right, and so, in his recommendations, at some point, there had been talk of, various diverse species and various trees recommendation. Is that no longer, does that no longer apply because you're not doing the,
That was for the forested
That's for
buffers
forested.
specifically he was talking about, yeah.
okay,
Let's.
What about all these? The findings from,
See,
the code enforcement officer.
um,
Have they been addressed at all, or?
Well, they just got them today, but the erosion control we got shown on the plan does address that. So. We showed double here, there's a road, silt fence here and here, and it runs all the way up on both sides of this, so this silt fence. Should be in place, and that would address what the code enforcement officer.
When will it be in place?
It's kind of, should be soon, I know there's silt fence out there to put another row here, and then I think they kind of just paused with this. At this level, and then, they'll go out and put it up. ASAP, once this is kind of, I think there was a little bit of confusion of what should we do out there, some of it was like, I know they silt fence this and they're gonna silt fence that, and they're gonna just. Hands off for a bit until this was figured out, because they didn't want to do any more work out there, but I know that we've shown erosion control. I know he's working with, now he's gonna have to work with the code, but that is the plan for erosion control. I can say that that's what. we have.
so, how you,
It looks like a nice plan,
That's
it's
what should
probably
be implemented,
adequate.
yeah.
but the problem is that they haven't done it.
so by,
That's what this letter.
No, that's on the code enforcement officer, they can't do anything now until they
We can't.
do this, so,
We
and we
can't do
can't
it
make
without
them do
it
that.
What, I know, but should we approve a permit if they haven't done basic erosion control?
Yeah, because normally, Jenny, we would approve a permit, and then they would have to go and do the erosion control and all that stuff after that. We never see all of that after that. The only reason we're seeing this one is because they got the cart in front of the horse, per se.
Right,
So normally, we don't go and check on those, so the code enforcement is already on that, so I think we need to leave that in his court. He needs to, through Michael, know that the project can't continue until these measures have been corrected. And that they follow the plan that's in place, I mean, that's what our vote's gonna say, is that they follow that erosion control plan.
Yeah, I think your guys, any approval would bind them to this.
Correct.
To this erosion control plan, which Chris Baldwin has reviewed as well.
right. And that's the, during construction, post-construction, I think. So, well, you will decide if what's provided is adequate, but they're addressing it. And I guess I mean, you could make a condition of the approval that the erosion control measures get, addressed and put in place, and that this, violation get addressed before.
But isn't that a given when we accept a plan from these guys and we approve the project, that they're gonna follow what we approved?
That's
So
definitely.
why did we have to add that in there again to say, follow this? That's what's been presented to us,
Because
right?
they already didn't follow best practices by starting ahead of time.
That's not on us.
You, not, no,
Yeah.
but that's what, that would be the reason to put the condition on the permit, right? But
That's what
basically,
is basically just
Yeah.
like,
Makes sense.
right, be double, it's kind of belt and suspenders. You're absolutely right, that anything that gets approved. It's not just the expectation, but the requirement is that that the applicant and everything follows whatever the approval says.
You know, the other thing we could do is just say, look, we're not even gonna act on this thing until you get erosion stuff in there. Is that even a possibility?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Either that or say, you just don't get a permit until you get that in there.
I think, yeah, I
Period
think
in the
with,
report,
because what?
period in the report, because they started already.
And yeah, I guess until you get back in compliance. Yeah, I think that you could do that.
No building permit issued until that's in place.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or were you saying no approval from the plan, like the plan, we're not gonna act on it,
Make that a contingent,
a condition?
right,
Yeah.
a condition that's back to where it needs to be before a permit can be issued, like you said.
Mhm. That's, okay, yeah, if that's what so
I think that's reasonable, no building permit issued until erosion control.
until erosion control is in place and,
And the violation is satisfied, you could even.
yeah, that's, I think is no,
Cause this plan, it would satisfy the violation, it's kind of
if
like,
this was in followed or in place,
yes, it would satisfy what the violation is for.
I
They kind of go together, I think,
yeah. I think, yes, I think if this was all followed,
yeah.
then I imagine that there wouldn't be an issue for the
I can't
violation.
believe they
So,
haven't bothered to go out and do that. Especially after getting this letter.
well, this just
That came this afternoon, I
Oh,
believe.
the fact that.
yeah, this was that just went out.
Alright,
And I know there's the one silt fence we saw here, when we were out there, the pile of silt fence like sitting right there, and when I spoke with the applicant, I said. I talked to him about getting it up over there, and he said he was going to along the stream, so. I know at a minimum that's there right now, and then. The original plan is to use. The trees that were pulled out as bark mulch out there, and that was kind of put on pause during. I mean, there was some grubbing done, but the plan is, there's that pile of trees, which is gonna be bark mulch, which is gonna be the erosion control out there, so. They didn't pull any new equipment on there once kind of things got halted.
So, I think that the planning board could make a condition of their approval that no permit be issued until the erosion control is implemented,
Yeah.
remedied. My question is that something that you can work with code enforcement to confirm basically and say, like, yes, this is,
Sure. Yeah, I could,
okay.
Yeah.
Is that what you all were thinking and are comfortable with?
I think so.
think so.
Okay. So,
Mike probably ought to go have a look at it. Anyway.
let's see, I know we're getting towards the end here. Sewage disposal, no concerns, I assume they're not tying into, well, the GSB sanitary district. Phosphorus control, again, I can't imagine there's any issues, there's no septic, there's no sewage proposed, so. Buffer areas is basically the last thing, there's building appearances, no buildings, and there's signs and, if there are any signs proposed, they'll go through code enforcement. But I don't think there's any signs proposed, so. The stop sign, okay, yeah, exiting and that's,
Yeah.
Buffer areas, do you wanna talk about that? I know we. Kind of. Looked at so.
I get far enough back.
Says there's a landscape buffer strip required to visually screen the parking lot use from the abutting residential use. Not sure if. What you think about that.
I'm wondering, so if that, so that house was carved out and sold, there would not be any buffer, but like it would be kind of an after the fact. No, there would have been no buffer
You know, like a.
between the
year, let's
residential,
say.
yeah, just.
Yeah, I think that's a
Valid point, yeah,
valid point.
absolutely.
So that although they are the same owner in the same parcel. That doesn't need to have
Yeah.
some sort of.
I mean, it's not a small parking area, it's a large
Not a
parking
big
area.
part, yeah, no question.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, I mean, that's.
What about some evergreen trees or something, you know, along it? Just,
On the edge of that.
But if you read that from the abutting. That's the property next to, not the property you're on. And I get what she's saying, but if you read that, the butter is on either side of it. So I don't see how you can make somebody buffer their own house from a parking lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Valid, that's a
But
valid
it's two
point
different
too.
uses.
It doesn't matter, it's the same property owner, yeah, I can't come down to your house and tell you to put a buffer between your garage and your house. If you're gonna build a garage there,
Right.
because you might sell your house later on. Abutting property is the property next to you,
Good
on
point.
either side.
Yeah, no,
But-
I mean, budding, yeah.
But where it says buffer area, it does say established in or abutting a residential area. So there is the or.
Well, the stuff that is a box is all green. I mean, it's there.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, I get the idea of if somebody cut that house lot out and sold the house. What if somebody moved in behind that parking lot, built a house?
Right.
So. You know, there's that to be said too. Personally, I'm on Neil's side.
You,
Personally, yeah, I mean, I think you could take this to any degree. You know, if somebody wanted to build a house next to the parking lot. Would then the parking lot have to screen themselves from that house? Or if somebody bought that house up there, would then the parking lot then have to screen itself from that house?
alright. Well,
Or would
that's,
that be up to the person who was if he's offended by it, to screen it himself?
well, I guess the question is, what is the ordinance
Yeah.
saying?
I don't,
Is the. And I'm, you know, I point out often, it's not always the most clear ordinance. So. This is why you exist as a body.
yeah,
Um,
I think the ordinance says it has to be screened, but the issue of the same owner is,
right, yeah.
I guess I'd have to. go with that
Absolutely.
too.
Or if somebody came in and built a house adjacent to it, where there was no house before, say 5 years down the road. Would that parking lot, whoever owned that parking lot, have to then screen themselves from that house because that person built that house there? Or would the person who built the house there have to screen themselves from the parking lot? Or they just say, I'll look at the parking lot? I don't think that, in this particular case, I don't think they have to screen it. I think Neil's right, the abutters are, you know, one of them, there's no abutter on the downhill side. And the only abutter that even could see him would probably be the hair salon, and they got quite a lot of woods in between them there. So I'm not, no.
okay, so
No.
our buffer areas. Do you want to discuss any more of that?
No, I think I'm good. How about you guys? You I'm good?
Good. I said this was not large scale development. Okay. So. I think. That was everything in there. I've got this letter from. Have you seen this letter from Knox and Soil that they sent? They dated. To the 30th, April 30th.
He sent me a draft, yeah,
Yeah, okay, that's what he had.
yeah, I messaged him today just to see if I could get a copy.
Okay. I'm not sure how best to proceed with this. There are a number of important considerations and or waiver requests and conditions of approval that are included and recommended in here. The board, you all have not seen this, I don't believe.
What is this?
It's not in the,
No, because I just got it. I just got it today. Basically, I was reading, that's what I was reading when you all were coming in, so.
That's convenient.
So the only things that I see that he wanted. Says they should call out location for the stabilized construction entrance. It's gonna be right here, which we could. put on.
Yeah, do you have that, like construction?
We have a detail for it.
Okay,
There's a detail on the plans and it's just gonna be right here where they're gonna be entering in and out, but there is a detail in the detail sheet for the standard construction entrance. He said that the cemetery could be called out better, but he didn't say like they needed to be in new spots. I think he wanted it to be clearer for him. If I could add some more labeling, but
for the silt fencing, is that what you're-
yeah. He didn't say there was anything wrong with them. I think he just wanted bolder, that's how I interpret it.
Yeah, he did mention, erosion sediment control. Where was it? Stream crossing.
It was 3B.
Oh, yes, and the second barrier of your choice. I assume you're just doing another silt fence as the second barrier?
Yeah, we have the two barriers shown,
Mhm.
there and there, and then there and there. There already is a silt fence here. There's going to be a silt fence here. Which would be just replace those mulches with silt fences. There's gonna be mulch in front of it. And then, just disturbed soils and 25 feet of stream covered with straw mulch and with a ground cover, which is part of the restoration we'll be doing, submitting to DEP as well, so.
So is there anything I'll go through the details with the board, but is there anything in this letter that is inconsistent with
No.
the plan? So,
No, he didn't have any comments on the gravel wetland.
Mhm.
These would be, if I would say if the board's okay with code enforcement stuff as we work with the plan. The code's satisfied with those, I'd imagine it'd be fine.
okay,
I know they haven't seen it, but,
so that's just what I want to make sure. So as long as I mean, and this is also like, if you're all comfortable with this, it's
So-
up to.
is he mentioning straw mulch? Did you
Yes, he
say?
did mention straw. So let me read through the important considerations and our waiver requests. So the applicant has provided a stormwater management plan and analysis which meets the requirements of the town's chapter 102 site plan review ordinance. Main DEP chapter 500 and then main DEP erosion and sediment control standards. 2, based on the amount of soil disturbance and the stream crossing, the project will require main DEP permit by rule and main construction general permit. Do you have the construction general permit on your,
that's part of the PBR, it's the same kind of.
that is part of the PBR?
Yeah, so you do the PBR and then when they go to construct it, they notify, so it's all wrapped into one thing. Yeah.
Okay. Upgrades to pre-construction site conditions and additional changes to the development plan set include. The plan should call out for the location of proposed stabilized construction entrance to be installed and maintained during periods of active truck traffic, which you mentioned you have a detail for, and that's
Yeah.
gonna be,
It's gonna be at the entrance there.
B, the grading plan could better call out the sediment barriers, which I think are identified as MB lines. Preference would be for silt fence adjacent to the stream and or wetlands, and a second barrier of choice upstream of the first, which
Those are these lines.
That's what we were just talking about, those are on there.
And then this is a silt fence along here, as you guys saw on the sidewalk, and then there's silt fence on site we put in here, so that will be silt fence.
So it would be C, all open disturbed soil within 25 feet of the stream should be covered with straw mulch or equivalent ground cover. And that is is that part of this? Is that in the plan or is that?
It's not explicitly called out on the plan, but that's what we would do for the revegetation out there, that's what we'd have to do with DEP.
And would that be,
The ground cover, make sure it's
is that
wetland.
something that you can do before like the construction starts?
Yeah,
Is that typically when you would do it?
well, this is kind of, yeah, usually you do it after construction, but this has some subsequent grub, so those areas that aren't gonna be disturbed by the construction any further would usually would do it then, so anytime it's open, so typically that's done after.
After.
But, the areas like here, which is open, would be anywhere, so anywhere that's not wetland would be the straw mulch, and then the equivalent ground cover would cover any wetland areas that would be vegetated wetland soils.
Okay, and that's the equivalent ground.
Yes.
So I have a quick question. So during the construction of the parking lot, all the truck traffic would be along that access road?
Around the access road, yeah, but we got it permitted.
Okay, because right now, the main access is behind across the stream, you know, what I mean,
Yeah, so this is gonna be,
so they're gonna clean that up?
they cleaned up, restored to, this will be like the wetland soil here, and then this is where the approved crossing will go. And that's where all truck traffic will come in and
Okay.
out is through there. So and all this is gonna be restored in there, like the ground cover restored, so it's gonna be strong mulch in the areas that are wetland and wetland areas.
And what's that restoration that you're talking about, is that? Will that be included in what we were talking about, one of the conditions was addressing all of the erosion control measures. Where does that, mulching and restoring of? the
Yeah, so a
wetland-
lot of it's described in the erosion control notes we have, but I could even with the code enforcement, just hatch some areas to make it extra clear. As part of the violation kind of thing, it would fit in that.
Okay, so that's something that, but that would be before, like the general construction stuff.
Yeah.
After, that's, okay.
And then there's gonna obviously be some after, like, you know, swale is, that's gonna be straw mulch after they do it, but some areas in here would be. There and then not touched again.
This is that.
Can you add that to the conditions and just reference this letter?
That's what I'm thinking.
Yep.
And then, just the last thing on here was that no waivers have been, requested. So those are the considerations. Then there's recommended conditions of approval that are in here, and there's two, so I'll read them. The applicant to execute stormwater management system maintenance agreement with the town of Yamrascotta for future inspection and maintenance of the stormwater management plan. We discussed that. Why don't I just I'll swap this in for what we had discussed, because this is. And require a deeded restriction for activities in the meadow buffer. An example, declaration of restrictions was provided by the applicant.
So in the what buffer?
So there's gonna be, this area here is gonna be meadow buffer, so it's gonna,
Be grass.
it's tall grass meadow area. Which will treat some stormwater, that's DEP's, they do meadow and forested, so it'll be a meadow buffer. And those, what he's saying is this area has to be, he wants it to be deed restricted. So no development on there,
No turnarounds.
nothing, yeah.
Does that sound good too?
Hmm.
Okay,
Is that very usual to have a deed restriction?
Yeah, that's actually, anything with the DEP permit is a buffer through deed restricted areas, so that way. Say, you know, this property wholesale gets sold, that deed restriction goes with the deed. So that way, any new owner knows that that area you can't mow more than twice a year.
Okay.
okay. And was that deed restriction? In this application already, or is that?
That was, I sent it with the responses for that, the copy of the meadow buffer deed restriction.
Yeah, oh, that's right,
Yeah.
you provided that. Okay.
And that's standard DEP language for those. Just get filed to it.
So. Does. Any thoughts from the board? Do you want to act on this? Do you want to review that letter from the Soil and Water Conservation District? Do you want to do some other version of anything that?
Or see if they can remedy their erosion, or, you know, implement their erosion control measures. First. perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, certainly my only. Yes, I think you could do that. The question would be like, how long is it gonna take? And I think the planning board could certainly take some time to like review whatever the violations are, see what it would take to, remedy the erosion issues. And if it's like, oh yeah, that'll, someone can get out there the next week and fix it and it'll be fine. If it's like, oh, this is gonna take 6 months to deal with, I think that, the planning board probably wouldn't wanna, sit on it for 6 months, basically.
No.
So, yes, I think, yes, you can, especially if you want to take time to like. There is a new letter from Soil and Water, there's the violations, I mean, I think that's it, unless there's something else that you all.
I think the condition we discussed kind of covers the violation for the most part.
I think it can.
Yeah.
That's,
Because
so,
it's really just, the one I read was open soil and the erosion control you put in place, basically per. It's a
Yeah.
plan. It left it up to submit a plan within 3 days to the code enforcement officer, which would be this plan.
that would be consistent, would be good,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
But I think that I think they kind of overlap a lot in those areas.
I wouldn't be terribly uncomfortable, basically with kind of whatever route the board wants to go.
You're gonna change number 5 under the conclusion of the law to include the letter that we just got.
Yes, I need to so. Well, I gotta fix 2 of them. One is. Then. Well, so, sorry, Neil, what were you saying out? I'm reading it.
Just number 5 talks about the erosion, and then we were going to reference that letter from.
The Soil and Water
Yep,
Conservation
the
District.
one that just came, yep. Right,
Yes, I think, let me see, so erosion control if you implemented and remedied. What we'll say like consistent. Just trying to think how to word it because. I imagine it should be consistent with soil and water conservation. Their letter, kind of more importantly, is whatever DEP standards there are. Which this probably meets.
Yeah, that was in their letter, it does.
Right, yes, they did say that. What I'm trying not to kind of paint CEO into a corner, but to be implemented and remedied. Why don't we just say with the proposed plan. Yeah, would you all be comfortable saying that, making the assumption that, and this is based on Soil and Water Conservation District saying that this plan does meet DEP, and the town standards. So essentially implementing this, this is how the violations can have to be remedied, at least for the planning board to be. For this condition for the planning board to be satisfied. I think right now, like the conditions. There's a violation that basically says that there's some issues. And but that leaves it pretty open as to like how. That's basically between the code enforcement officer and the applicant can figure out how to solve But now the planning board's kind of inserting themselves, and what I just wanna make sure is, rather than being too like, oh, do whatever you want. CEO and, you know, CEO basically deals with it, that this is what the planning board is expecting to see. So now if there's a discrepancy between this and what the CEO want, then it creates a misalignment is my point, but I imagine this is what's gonna, doesn't seem totally unreasonable.
Could be something like, erosion control in accordance with the plans. And any additional information should the CEO require it, that kind of gives
Yeah.
him some leeway to,
Okay.
if he wants to see anything else additional.
Was that good with,
And you're saying that all of the stuff that they talked about in the soil, in that letter, you're covering in that plan?
Yeah, so this meets all applicable standards for erosion control.
erosion control plan shall be implemented and remedied consistent with the proposed erosion control plan. And any other items identified by the CEO, prior to any building permit being issued. Okay. So. Let me just review, I've got six conditions of approval. One is, contingent on the fire chief review and approval, which was only because there's a fire hydrant that's not
900
right
feet or
there.
something.
It's, so I can't imagine any issue, but I assume he won't identify one, but we'll let them the opportunity to review it. Okay, applicant to execute a stormwater management system maintenance agreement with the town of Damerscott for future inspection and maintenance of the stormwater management system. That's basically that wording came directly from the Soil and Water Conservation District, but I think that was kind of what was the board was trying to target there.
But could it say annual? We did talk
Yeah.
about.
For
having
future
something
annual
happening,
inspection.
Yeah, annual.
The inspection
Of the stormwater management system.
on annual spring.
Yeah.
Future annual.
guys did say.
Yeah, we did.
Every
talk about
spring.
it, Yeah, but, and it's, yeah, or we just have, but annual, it's supposed to, they're supposed to be checking it after heavy rains and that's their best practice, but just for this.
Yes,
Okay.
so that's.
Yeah.
Certification of the construction of the gravel wetlands. And that's gonna happen after, you'll be able to pull a permit for before that. Okay, the PBR is gonna be required before issuing a permit. I already mentioned the erosion controls will be implemented and remedied consistent with the plan and anything identified by CEO. And then the last thing was a required deed restriction for activities in the meadow buffer. Based on the example declaration provided by the applicant.
Yep.
That all sound good, reasonable?
Look at that.
Yeah.
Okay, so. If you want to take any action on this, you
Anybody
can.
want-
Find the application to be complete.
Are you okay with that, Jen?
I think the application is complete.
Okay.
Do you wanna?
Okay, so I make a
Yes, you
motion
want- Yeah,
that the application is complete.
Do I have a second? Okay, all those in favor?
And I'm just recusing myself from this as we talked before, just because of where the project's going at the end. That's,
Yeah, makes sense.
okay.
Okay, so now, If you're gonna recuse yourself, we probably put Danny in there.
Were you here at the last meeting?
Oh, no, he wasn't here for the last meeting.
You hear the first,
with pneumonia, sorry.
Okay, no, he wasn't, yes, we can't do that.
So,
Four still passes.
three,
I would abstain because I haven't been a part of that.
that's
still-
3 out of 5 is.
it's still
Yeah,
Alright,
So I abstained, and so it was Neil abstained and Natalie abstained. Okay, so 4, none opposed, 2 abstain, motion carries, application's complete. Would you like to accept the findings of fact as, well, as amended basically through this meeting?
and do the amended findings of fact. Does anybody have a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the findings of fact as amended
Do I
tonight.
have a second?
A second.
Okay, all those in favor? Yeah,
Okay,
We're still doing
and
the same 3, nothing, 2?
Right.
is that right?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. So then that,
but if we wait for for the next meeting, can we have more people vote on it? You know,
yeah, I mean, if everybody reads the minutes or watches the recording, then, yeah.
are you more comfortable with that?
I sort of am.
Up to you
Or
all.
you wanna bring yourself up to speed on this thing? Vote
I
on
read
it?
all the documents, but I was not on the site visit. Okay,
That's okay, I
I'm
mean,
happy to go watch past meetings on it and feel comfortable voting on it next time.
I mean, I'm comfortable going ahead with it right now, so. But. I don't know what waiting another month is gonna do, but if you wanna bring yourself up to speed, I mean, I'm certainly fine with it.
Well, I mean, I'm comfortable, whatever. I feel like I could be,
Why don't we vote on this next meeting? You bring yourself up to speed, that'll make her happier too, so let's go with that.
okay.
And then we can maybe the
So
erosion
we're
control.
withdrawing that
stuff.
motion?
And yeah, it'd be nice if the erosion
Cause you
control.
had a vote on it, so.
To what?
Withdrawing the motion to accept as amended the finding of facts?
Yeah, we did that.
but you voted on it, that passed. That,
Okay, you voted on it, but then you
Amended.
talked about it, and I'm hearing.
I think the findings of fact they've
The finding.
been accepted by the board.
Okay,
So I think the question is
Okay.
to move on to,
Conclusions
Project.
of law.
conclusions, yeah, basically.
And accepting it.
So
a.
it sounds like the board wants to table
So
this.
if I, it just does.
Can we do that? Is that okay with you?
I think, we got 20 working days for the PVR. Which is essentially the next meeting. I think that, yeah, if that's what the board wants to do. We have 20 working days when we submit to get the PVR, so we would have that basically the day of the meeting.
Okay,
Essentially,
which if you have it, that would be great. I mean, then that condition of approval would probably
yeah,
be able to be satisfied just right then.
yeah, so essentially, if everything was approved today, we'd have to wait for PVR 20 days anyway.
Okay, so
Right.
so they won't be able to. do that.
Not really, yeah.
Okay.
So so then you're okay with, if the board
wants to do
table
that,
it,
yeah,
then you'll grant that.
yeah.
But we're not gonna have a lengthy thing on it anyway.
I would think
I
unless.
mean, we're all.
We won't wait
the
for
findings
the
of
findings
fact.
of fact
Right,
and the application.
Then all we gotta do basically is approve the application at that point in time.
yeah, I would think that's correct, so.
I don't mind this.
Okay.
I don't think it's. Either way,
Yes.
Either way.
that's- My only concern is if the board is comfortable and that you're not breaking any rules, so, I don't think hopefully you are comfortable, and I don't think you're breaking any rules as far as I know.
Well, I mean. If the applicant if it was really causing a problem for a huge problem for the applicant, that'd be one thing. But if the applicant has to wait for 20 days anyways,
Doesn't sound
maybe
too bad.
it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I know, you know, everyone wants approval.
Yeah,
Anyway, but, you know,
So is the June, date affected by the election at all? The June,
I think the June meeting
first,
is,
it's gonna be on time, the first Monday.
Elections.
oh, it's the first, so, yeah, the elections are what, like a week, two, oh, it's the following week, so. No, normally we do have that issue, but this year we don't.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
so
just wanted to double check that we weren't gonna,
we have to move it, no, the next meeting. Unless there's something that's unforeseen, you will be meeting on June 1st. And we cannot use this room on June 8th.
All right. So all we gotta do is accept it next meeting. Get everybody to vote on it, it should be good.
Yeah,
Alright.
that seems
You
right.
guys wanna play it? Good.
Do you wanna open it up to public comment or anything? I know we closed the public hearing, but
Anybody here wanna comment on this? You probably do. No. Right. All right,
is there anything else going on that we should know about?
for this project?
No, for other
Oh,
projects,
well, do you wanna then just officially table this?
okay.
And that way it is tabled.
Yep.
Good,
Yeah,
without objection, not that's your job, so. Anything else that you?
no, I think
all right.
it's really just gonna be the vote next time, right?
I think,
That's
yeah,
pretty much it,
Discussion's
yeah.
kinda done, right, up from the other stuff, so.
I would think so. I mean, I'm gonna share, hopefully the violation stuff shakes out and that letter from Soil and Water, I don't think any of it's. Yeah, I think it'll all be
Yeah,
familiar.
okay,
I'm hoping there's no surprises.
no, it's,
So hopefully everybody's just more comfortable with all of it, so.
yeah, no, sure.
Okay,
Thank you.
Appreciate the time.
Thanks.
okay. We're gonna move on from that topic now.
Yes.
No, I don't really have any. There's plenty of other stuff going on, sure. Nothing that I can think of that I was like, oh, I didn't tell the board about this.
there's an appeals board hearing, right?
There is, for code enforcement.
Building permit.
Application, yeah, it was like shorthand, so. I think that's tomorrow.
Yeah,
And,
What about this gentleman right here?
yeah, did you? Now, I don't have you on the agenda, but did you wanna,
Yeah, this is my, remember, it was too late to be on the April.
but I still need to get like an application, I did see the plan that you sent over. And
I
it's-
submitted the application. A
Okay.
while back, I paid
Yes.
the fee back in March. I thought, you put me on the,
Put you on this, I don't have you on right now, you know, part of the issue is. The location of the buildings, which I know,
We brought a survey, we got a survey.
Yep.
And, he gave you some copies and I have
Yes.
digital copies. too.
yes, he sent the digital copies.
Yeah, and we confirmed that it's just across the street, it's dark now, you can't see it, so this property, 26 School Street, has 3 structures. One house is already existing, and there's a red barn and a gray barn. The red barn, we're not changing anything, we're actually making it smaller because there's a 2 garage, we're taking that garage out and we wanna convert it to a 1-bedroom. But I think, the code enforcement officer thought maybe it was, close to the wetland. So we did a survey, from True North. And I have it right here, and I think you have a digital copy.
I do, so. Originally, the issue was, and I don't think the planning board's gonna be able to act on, because I just got the survey, the other day. And so I haven't done the full review, but based on my memory, it basically is like. Falls within stream protection over here, or it seems to, and then the survey shows, yes, it's within 75 feet of the stream. There's an existing building, and the question is, it's an existing building. code enforcement planning board wouldn't be able to approve a building there new, but there's already a building there. So the question was like, well, can the planning board, I think that's, I was just gonna go look up, can the planning board approve the basically the use of that building as for a dwelling unit? And part of the confusion is that the shoreland zoning ordinance kind of lumps uses, structures, activities all together. So when it says like, no, you can't put a structure there for residential use. Like, okay, well, what do we do when there is? And it's not clear. Doesn't really say yes, you know, so it doesn't separate uses and structures and say, oh, well, if you've already got a structure, here's what you're allowed to do with it. So.
Really, I thought that it allowed. The main issue was the structure, not the use.
And right, I think that's kind of how I look at it. The problem is that the way that they, way that the land use table, it talks about principal structures and uses, 1 and 2 family residential, including driveways, multi-unit residential, stuff like that. So, a 1 or 2 family residential structure within the stream protection requires planning board review. He's not proposing,
No change in
Residential
the
structure.
structure, actually, it's going to be smaller.
yeah,
But we're connecting, I talked to the water district, so we're connecting water and sewer to the town.
which to me made it even like, oh, well, that's
Right,
wonderful. I mean, the
Yeah.
big
Yeah, we're not.
big thing
doing-
would be sewer.
yeah, sewer,
Yeah,
right?
the house is staying on the water, septic and the well, so the existing, but those two, we're putting them on the water, on the sewer and water.
So that was the original question that I had, was like, okay, well, we'll take it to the planning board and see what the planning board says. The new
Is it
issue,
one residential unit?
It's one unit, it's 1 bedroom, 1 bath.
Okay,
and, let me find, okay, so unfortunately, what now came up after we saw this survey is that this is the property line here, this is the right of way. And these buildings, this is a building that's being, what the conversation started around, and then this one also. You know, so basically, this is the existing unit, this was gonna be a +1, this would be done at +1.
We're going to demo this side, this part right here, this, because it's not necessary for me. It's a garage and I don't need it now. So it'll be this, and then later on, possibly this.
Okay,
So the question now that I have is like, well, this building is within the right of way, and as far as I can tell, is on DOT property now.
We confirmed it's not, there is
Well,
no
it's not
easement.
DOT property, DOT just has right of way.
We confirmed, yeah, they're not on the deed, no easement on the deed. I don't know if you saw.
I did see his response that said, he reviewed the chain of title and not seen any reference to an easement held by DOT. But I guess my question would be that, do you have an easement to have your buildings in the right of way or on DOT's? I don't know if DOT owns it fee simple or what the issue is,
Yeah.
but that's the kind of the concern is like,
That right of way may not have even existed when that building was put on there.
that's what I was.
That's
Sure.
been there
Yeah.
for a long time.
which is, but the issue that I'm looking at is like, well, can the planning board can't really say, yes, you can put a building or anything on DOT's property.
No,
It's not DOT's
it's not
property.
DOT's property anyway.
It's their property,
Their
but
property with
it's
DOT.
just a right, the
Yeah.
DOT might have a right of way, but
Yeah.
We're not
doesn't mean
even
they-
going
They
there.
can't, yeah.
Yeah, there's no, actually, we blocked the access. We're not even, we don't wanna, it's dangerous to come out.
Yeah, no, so.
He's coming out School Street, not Main, if that makes sense, cause it's dangerous to.
So I don't understand why you say it's not DOT's property. There's a right,
Property, it's just they have a right of way.
okay, but so then they,
Across
if you have.
his
right of way,
property.
but even still, if someone has a even if DOT has an easement, planning board can't permit someone to build in someone else's easement.
It's already built.
But it's already built.
It may have been
Okay.
built there before that was ever a thing.
And so this is what I want to get sorted out is like, is that a legally existing structure? Does DOT? Do they have a right of way? Do they own the property? I don't know what's there.
They own the property, DOT just had a right of way. They have a right of way to, you know,
So
there's a setback from the highway, I
then
guess.
again, I don't know if the planning board should be allowing dwellings to be located within DOT's right of way. I don't think like.
Do you
So,
realize if you did that, you'd have to tear out
Tear out.
half the
I
building?
guess the question would be to continue on in the next maps and see how many dwellings are
Oh
actually
my God.
in the right of way, because I think they
So
probably
I
are.
guess this is the question is like, does the applicant have the right to do something in DOT's right of way? And that would need to be demonstrated, and that I don't think
Mhm.
is,
so if you have something for, in a. In a use, in a place for so long, there's rights that kind of accrue after like 20-25 years, right?
there are certain situations, you have to go to court and have that established.
I think these
Well, I
are
don't
the
think
questions we
they-
need to get answered. before we-
And that's, yeah, and that's why this is.
Why is the right of way all, is that dark line the right of way?
That's a good question, why is that?
Why is it all funky like that?
Yeah, right.
Because DOT does that sometimes. It's,
That's the survey, he confirms that he has no evidence that we looked at the deed, there is no right of way and we're not on the DOT. I don't know, I'm sorry to contradict what you're saying.
no, it's,
This plan says he has no evidence whatsoever, so we looked at the deed, there is no DOT. This is not their property, it's my property, and they don't have an easement.
Yeah, there's no recorded easement,
Not
there's no
on my
recorded
deed.
easement.
wait,
then
no, wait,
It's not an easement.
okay. What your title insurance. Title attorney said is that he reviewed the chain of title and doesn't see any reference to an easement held by DOT. DOT wouldn't have an easement onto your property because what I'm assuming and whether DOT has an easement or if they just own that fee simple. DOT doesn't need an easement for you to put buildings on their property. You need an easement from DOT to put buildings on DOT's property. So that is what I'm trying to figure out is. I imagine you own the building. I mean, you bought the building when you bought that piece of property. The question is, is that building allowed to be there? Do you own the rights to have development there? And you may, and that's what it may be that DOT basically says, yeah, we own that all the way over to here, but you're allowed to put stuff behind this line. I don't know. But that's all that needs to be clear for the planning board to even consider granting any approval.
I was just thinking about Red Zeets, that's totally in the DOT.
Oh my God, there's so many. of them.
One easement,
This-
I mean,
I don't know if that's true.
they don't,
Red Zeets?
Red Zeets, it's totally,
I mean, but that's.
I don't care about Red Zeets because it's in Wisconsin.
Yeah,
I think, we're not gonna solve this tonight. It's not on the agenda. I think you obviously have some valid points that we've got to clarify of can this even happen? And then the two of you need to work together to get it onto the next meeting, it sounds like, and then maybe we can have some of those then, but we can't solve this
Oh, yeah, I
tonight.
can't
Let's-
think of that.
Okay.
No way.
I mean, we can, I get his point that he
Yeah.
says he owns it. And until we can confirm that DOT said that they can do whatever on it, I get it, but
So you need the DOT to say what? Because Michael, you and I spoke in
yeah,
February.
no, and
I applied in February, I applied back in March, and you put me on the calendar.
well,
You did.
My
You put
plan-
me
my
on the
plan
calendar,
was
you Gave
to-
me a night and I've been here for 2 hours, so.
Yeah.
I was surprised that I'm not on the calendar. So I was on the calendar.
yes, but I did not have a complete application. I
I
literally,
did, I paid my fee, I gave
You-
you the application, no, I did it, I'm not
You-
trying to be
I
argumentative,
understand.
but I sat here for 2.5 hours. I did everything you asked me to do.
That's,
did
you
everything
can say
exactly.
that that's not necessarily true. What,
It's not necessarily true, I did everything you asked me to do.
My point is there is a process and I can't just ignore the process. for
I
this.
respect their time, but I did everything you asked me to do. I did exactly.
So
And I went
here's,
and paid
here's,
$3,000
here's
for
what
the
the
survey.
planning board could do, is they could say, do you have enough information to act on this
No,
application
I'll
today?
come back
No,
with-
so, it's- yeah, I don't
But,
know,
no, don't put this on me.
I'm not,
You said it's not true. It is very true. I did exactly everything you wanted.
I'm not arguing
On
that
time.
you have or haven't.
I
I'm
zoomed
just
with you
telling,
in March.
yes, and I asked for certain things, you gave me this survey. Let's just say it was a week.
On the
It wasn't even-
29th.
It wasn't even a week ago.
I had emailed.
Also, all of the materials to go to the planning board, I have to send them, I send their packets to them a week beforehand, so it wasn't even.
Okay. I'm sorry, if you're not prepared, don't put it on this on
Yes,
me, and
you're
I
right.
know it's gonna hurt me.
You're right,
I know
it's fine.
it might hurt me for permit, but don't pin on this on me.
I'm not, I'm
I
just
think
telling
you
you
should
this.
take responsibility.
I'm telling
You
you,
were not
I,
prepared.
Jonathan, you gotta rein this in. and-
Yeah, you guys.
This isn't gonna
better
happen
calm
tonight.
down.
I'm sorry, I was
Excuse
frustrated,
me.
but he's next.
Yeah, you're right.
I get that, okay? Enough, okay?
Thanks.
It's not gonna happen tonight.
Perfect.
We'll shoot for the next month meeting on June first. If everything is in order and we can get it before then, we'll discuss it then.
Sounds good. Have a
Great.
good night.
You do.
Apologies.
No worries.
I would have,
Don't ban.
it's a good, it is a
I've
good
never seen
project.
anything like that.
No worries.
I would have loved to have them.
How about this young lady here? Is she here for something else?
Sure, it, order after.
Just watching.
You
Excellent.
know, he may have to prove that he actually can use those buildings, I don't know. That's a legal issue,
That's.
nothing to
Yes,
do with
correct.
me. Anybody wanna make a motion to go? Go on. How about a second? There you go, all those in favor?
On that, right?
Are we still live? No.
No.
I really, I should have stopped him.
Think that out of the room. It's you.
Did you recognize it?
Yes, I've spoken with them.
I know, I should have, I didn't record, I should have realized what he was up to.
Oh, and I support the project. It's a good project.
Yep. I don't know.
So Michael, what, that blue line, that. What was that?
Now you.
Yeah, is that a recent, when they did the recent
No.
survey?
I know that's right. And I'll guarantee